Blood trickled down James Carter's weathered face as he knelt, handcuffed, beside his wife, Eleanor, on the scorching Georgia asphalt. Two officers loomed over them, their sneers sharp as knives, oblivious to the sleek black SUV pulling up across the road. A tall figure in crisp Marine Corps dress blue stepped out, metals glinting in the late afternoon sun. The officers froze as he approached. They had no idea they'd just crossed the wrong family. James and Eleanor Carter, both in their early 70s, had built their dream retirement home in the quiet town of Willow Creek, Georgia, after decades of service as educators. James, 73, had been a respected high school principal, while Eleanor, 71, taught English literature. Their charming ranch-style home, nestled on 3 acres with a sprawling porch, was where they sipped iced tea at sunset, watching the sky blaze with hues of crimson and gold. Every Sunday, they upheld a cherished tradition, driving their pristine 1969 Chevrolet Impala to New Hope Baptist Church, followed by a leisurely cruise through the rolling hills of Willow Creek. The car, with its glossy emerald green exterior and cream leather seats, was James's pride, a gift to himself upon retiring. This Sunday was picture-perfect, with clear skies and blooming dogwoods painting the landscape in soft whites. The Carters had just celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary, a milestone of love that had seen them raise 3 accomplished children. Their eldest, Nathan, 35, was a decorated Marine Corps Master Sergeant stationed at Camp Pendleton, California. Their daughter, Lillian, was a pediatrician in Charlotte, and their youngest, Benjamin, was a corporate lawyer in Denver. Though the Carters cherished their peaceful life in Willow Creek, they were no strangers to the town's undercurrent of racial prejudice. Despite their achievements, they endured subtle slights: store clerks trailing them, neighbors offering forced smiles, or waitstaff seating them in the back of restaurants. With quiet grace, they navigated these indignities, focusing on their blessings rather than the sting of bias. On this fateful afternoon, as they drove along Route 19, James and Eleanor chatted about Nathan's upcoming visit. "Let's make his favorite pecan pie," Eleanor suggested, her voice warm with maternal affection. "He's been working too hard." James nodded, his hands steady on the wheel. "I want to take him fishing at Dawson's Pond. The trout are biting this season." Their serene moment shattered when flashing lights appeared in the rearview mirror. James glanced at the speedometer well under the limit. Puzzled but calm, he signaled and pulled onto the gravel shoulder. "What's this about, dear?" Eleanor asked, smoothing her Sunday dress. "Probably routine," James replied, reaching for his wallet, where his spotless driving record sat alongside his license. 2 officers approached, hands on their holsters, their demeanor far too aggressive for a standard stop. Officer Travis Boone, a burly man with a flushed face, strode to James's window, while Deputy Carl Hensley, younger and jittery, stood by Eleanor's side. "License and registration," Boone barked, his tone dripping with accusation. "May I ask the reason for the stop, officer?" James asked politely. "You were swerving, crossed the center line," Boone lied, despite the empty, straight road. Eleanor, sensing hostility, quietly began recording on her phone. Hensley snapped, "Put that away, ma'am, or we'll take it as evidence." Eleanor held firm, her voice steady. "We have the right to document this." Boone snatched James's documents, scrutinizing them with a smirk. "Nice car for this area. Where'd you get it?" The implication was clear, and James felt the familiar weight of decades of such insinuations. "I purchased it upon retiring as a principal," James replied evenly. "I've owned it for 9 years." Boone, caught off guard but unyielding, stepped back to confer with Hensley. Returning, he announced, "Your car matches one tied to a robbery yesterday. Step out, both of you." The Carters exchanged a glance, recognizing the escalation. They had lived through the civil rights era, teaching their children how to survive such encounters. Yet, as James gripped the wheel, he realized some things hadn't changed. "Officer, we drive this route every Sunday," James said calmly. "There's been a mistake." Boone's hand rested on his holster. "Out. Now." Slowly, James and Eleanor exited, the sun beating down mercilessly. Boone separated them, ordering James to the patrol car, while Hensley kept Eleanor by the Impala. The tactic was familiar to James, reminiscent of his youth in 1960s Alabama, where officers had humiliated him for looking suspicious. Now, decades later, the same dread returned as Boone positioned him against the hot cruiser. Eleanor, ever the peacemaker, tried to defuse the tension. "Officers, we're just driving home from church. Can we clarify this misunderstanding?" Hensley ignored her, searching the Impala without consent. Boone, finding James's record clean, held up a church bulletin as if it were contraband. "What's this?" James explained, "That's from New Hope Baptist service today." A radio crackle confirmed no robberies matched the Impala's description, but instead of backing off, Boone grew hostile. Hensley tore through the car, ripping up mats and opening the trunk. James spoke up. "I respectfully object to this search. You have no warrant or cause." Boone's response was swift and violent. He shoved James against the cruiser, snarling, "You don't tell me what I can do." Eleanor moved to intervene, her phone still recording. "Please, he has a heart condition." Hensley knocked the phone from her hand, sending it skittering across the asphalt. Passing drivers slowed, but didn't stop, most averting their eyes. A young black driver hesitated, but Boone waved him off menacingly. James felt his chest tighten, his heart condition flaring. His medication was in the Impala's glove box. Eleanor pleaded, "My husband needs his medicinites in a red case in the glove box." Boone scoffed. "Convenient timing, huh?" James, struggling, quoted scripture softly. "In your scorn, you'll find no truth." Hensley, rifling through James's wallet, pulled out a photo of Nathan in dress blues. "Who's this? Your kid playing soldier?" he mocked. James's jaw clenched. "That's my son, Master Sergeant Nathan Carter, U.S. Marine Corps. 15 years of service, Silver Star recipient." Boone laughed. "Probably some diversity quota hero. Medals are cheap these days." The insult to Nathan's sacrifice broke James's restraint. "My son has bled for this country while you disgrace the freedoms he defends," he said, his principal's authority cutting through. Enraged, Boone shoved James backward. The elderly man fell, his head striking the pavement. Blood seeped from a gash on his temple as Eleanor cried out, only to be restrained by Hensley. Boone, crafting a false narrative, spoke loudly for the dashcam. Subject resisted and became combative, requiring restraint. Eleanor, seeing James clutch his chest, begged, "He needs his medication now." The officers ignored her, cuffing both with excessive force. The scene grew dire until a black SUV slowed across the road. Its tinted windows hid the driver, but as the door opened, a polished dress shoe hit the ground, followed by the unmistakable blue of a Marine uniform. Master Sergeant Nathan Carter emerged, his 6 feet 3 inches frame commanding attention. Medals gleamed on his chest, earned through 2 tours in Iraq. At 35, Nathan carried the poise of a leader, his sharp eyes taking in the scene, his bleeding father, his handcuffed mother, and 2 officers radiating arrogance. He had planned to surprise his parents early for their anniversary, but now faced a nightmare he'd dreaded since childhood. Crossing the road, he stopped the dashcam. "Master Sergeant Nathan Carter, U.S. Marine Corps," he announced. "Those are my parents." "Explain this situation." Boone bristled. "This doesn't concern you, soldier. Move along." Nathan corrected him calmly. "Master Sergeant, sir. As their son, this concerns me deeply. Why is my father bleeding and handcuffed?" Hensley shifted nervously, but Boone doubled down. They were driving erratically, tied to a robbery. He resisted. Nathan's eyes flicked to James's wound. "What robbery? I'd like details to follow up with your department." Boone faltered, his lie unraveling. "That's confidential," he snapped, reaching for Nathan's phone. "Put that away." Nathan held firm, citing legal precedent. "Glick versus Cuff confirms my right to record this. Supreme Court, First Amendment." Stunned, Boone hesitated. Nathan noticed James's ashen face and shallow breathing, clear signs of cardiac distress. "My father needs medical attention now," he said, voice steady but urgent. Denying his medication violates his 14th Amendment rights, Estelle versus Gamble. Boone scoffed, but Hensley wavered. "Travis, maybe we should call an ambulance," he muttered. Boone rounded on him. "Stay out of this, rookie." A supervisor's cruiser arrived, lights flashing. Captain Robert Hayes, a grizzled veteran, stepped out, assessing the growing crowd of onlookers recording the scene. Boone spun his tale of a robbery and resistance, painting Nathan as an interloper. Hayes initially sided with his officer, telling Nathan to step back. But Nathan held his ground, detailing the abuse and James's medical crisis. Then, in a pivotal moment, Hensley broke ranks. "Sir, there was no robbery." Dispatch confirmed it. Mr. Carter didn't resist. The admission shifted the dynamic. Hayes, reassessing, ordered the cuffs removed. Nathan knelt by James, who was fading. "I'm fine, son," James whispered, but Nathan was already calling EMS, relaying symptoms with precision. As paramedics arrived, Hayes offered to handle the matter discreetly. Nathan refused. This began publicly and will be resolved publicly. My parents deserve the truth acknowledged. The crowd, now including a news crew, amplified the pressure. Hayes, facing undeniable evidence, turned to Boone. You're on administrative leave. Surrender your badge and gun. Boone exploded, his outburst captured on camera, sealing his fate. Hensley was reassigned to desk duty, his honesty a rare breach of the blue wall. Paramedics stabilized James for transport, and Nathan drove Eleanor to the hospital, where Dr. Patel provided urgent care. James's EKG showed stress-induced strain, and his head wound needed stitches. In the weeks that followed, the Carters' home became a hub for reform. Community members rallied, sharing stories of Boone's abuses. A town hall at New Hope Baptist drew hundreds, uniting diverse voices. Hensley, in a private meeting, apologized and pledged to testify about the department's toxic culture. Boone, in a drunken rage, later trespassed at the Carters' home, but Nathan's quick response and community backup led to his arrest. At a courthouse hearing, Judge Margaret Ellison ruled decisively, condemning Boone's actions and ordering a departmental overhaul. Boone was fired and charged, while Hensley joined an ethics unit. The Carters stayed in Willow Creek, transforming their home into a space for healing and advocacy. James developed a civics curriculum, Eleanor led support groups, and Nathan, inspired, planned to attend law school. On a late summer evening, the Carters hosted a community potluck. Neighbors, officers, and activists mingled, a testament to change. James addressed the crowd. What happened to us could have been forgotten, but you refused to look away. Dignity isn't just how we face adversity, it's how we treat each other daily. A young boy asked Nathan about becoming a Marine. Kneeling, Nathan replied, "It's tough, but with heart, you can do anything. We're making things better for when you grow up." The next Sunday, the Carters resumed their drive. When a cruiser followed, James tensed, but the officer, a recruit, approached respectfully. "Thank you for changing our department," he said. As they drove into the sunset, James glanced at Eleanor and Nathan, feeling hope amid the scars. Their stand had sparked a movement, proving that courage and community could forge a more just future. What would you have done in the Carters' shoes? Share your thoughts in the comments, especially on confronting violence and injustice in everyday life. Have you faced or witnessed such moments? Take a stand and let your voice be heard. Your perspective matters in building a world where dignity is universal.